I think he's feeling very alone. And just needed an organizer to talk to. Does that resonate with you? That the president could be feeling alone? That's true, right, Maria? Mm-hmm. You've experienced that. Mm-hmm. Can the president feel alone? What do you think? He's surrounded by so many people.
He's surrounded by the people that were doing the political work that he wanted to change. It's not
necessarily. Don't believe that. Don't believe that he's surrounded only by the people.
Only, but they're there too.
They're there, but why is he feeling alone?
The people aren't doing anything there.
I want you to think. Put yourself in his place. Why would you be feeling lonely?
He's more comfortable on the ground.
Pardon?
He's more comfortable amongst the community.
He is.
The grievances. It's a different atmosphere than the policy making. What's happening.
Sure, he grew up in neighborhoods like you, right? He's just like you. And he's just like me. And now he's in the White House. And he is feeling a lot of isolation. So he calls Mike. Now, a lot of our folks got invited to Christmas parties, all kinds of things that are going on in the White House. So I think Obama just wants to say hello to his old friends and wants to reconnect because he's feeling very isolated. Who wants to isolate him? In whose interest is it that he be isolated? Should he be isolated, and whose interest is it? What do you think? What do you think? Who wins if he's isolated?
Lobbyists.
Pardon? Well, not only the Republicans. Now, don't you go and believe that the Democrats are innocent. We were just in Washington last June. We went and did an action on the Chamber of Commerce. Who's the Chamber of Commerce? Who are they? You've got them all over the country, right? What are they? Associations of what?
Well, they facilitate businesses.
Yeah, they're associations of businesses, right? Like, restaurants and so on. The National Chamber of Commerce invested last year, I don't know what they did this year, $100 million to stop any type of health reform. So if the chambers invested $100 million, what do you imagine the drug companies invested? The medical associations invested. The insurance companies invested. What do you think? Do you think it's another billion? 2 billion? 3 billion? Tons of money. Where does that money go? Where does that money go? Of who? You right? And then what do they do with it?
Then they give it to Congressmen.
Is that what they do with it, Maria? What do they do with that money? What do you think? You already know.
But that's part of it. Yeah.
All right. So they put it into political pots of Democratic and Republican congressional leaders. So now the congressional leaders come out and they say, oh, we're really concerned about this health care. I don't know if it's going to work. What are they really concerned with? What do you think?
That they're not going to get such a nice check from
That's right. They're looking out for whom?
themselves.
Yeah, and for that drug company or that insurance company or whoever's lobbying them, they're keeping them in their mind. No, they're not keeping them exclusively in their mind, but it's heavy on their mind. I'm going to get that check of money. I'm going to get this support from this group and this group and this group, and I can be set up for my next election. Immigration reform. Who's benefiting from not changing immigration policy? Who benefits? Somebody's winning, otherwise we would not be doing what we're doing. We're a nation of immigrants, right? Our whole country was founded because immigrants came here. Except for African Americans, everybody else came voluntarily. So, why is laws that are so abusive to immigrants not changing? Who's winning?
Low-wage labor.
Low-wage labor. Okay, so we have slave labor in this country. What else? And so who wins when we have slave labor?
Big industrializing firms.
Big corporations win. Okay, what else happens? And we need to create a public publicity campaign that turns all Americans against immigrants. Because as long as we turn Americans against immigrants, then we can't change the laws. And as long as we don't change the laws, a lot of winners. Who else are winners? There's a lot of winners in California especially. Who else are the winners? Who do you think are winners, Professor?
How about our large agricultural interests?
Oh my God. Phenomenal. Right? And so we desperately need them in California, right? And then we feel obligated to abuse them. Okay, who else wins? How about the prison system, the police systems, all of those? Do they win? How do they win? Does anybody know in this room? Do you know? There's a law in California that says if you are stopped, you don't have a driver's license, the police department has the right to confiscate your car for 30 days. And then you have to pay the fees to get it out. Where do you think they set up the checkpoints to check licenses? In low-income, Spanish-speaking immigrant communities. They don't set them up in suburbs. They set them up where they know they have a good chance of grabbing a lot of people. Why can't that law change in California? Why do you think it can't change in California? No, that's not right. You're right. If you are close to the border, you got a border town here, San Diego.
People are
That's
scared.
a place from hell. Pardon?
People are scared of immigrants.
Well, we've been taught to be scared of them. Who's teaching us? The media and the politicians. Why? Why are they teaching you to be afraid or hate immigrants?
So it's a foundation for a support group to support them that they can protect us.
There's not enough resources for everyone, so that they bring up, they make us be fearful that there's not enough resources for everyone. So,
That's the lie.
well, our food on our plate will be taken away if we let all the immigrants in.
Right, right. But they don't talk about the millions of jobs being sent to other countries. We can't talk about that, right? And so the way we avoid talking about the loss of jobs to other countries is we talk about immigrants taking advantage of Americans, using up hospital resources, using food stamps, being illegal, breaking the law, lawbreakers. Get in line. They say, get in line. Do you know how long the line is? The average is 20, 21 years. If you apply, you got to wait 20 years to get a hearing. 20 years. So what do we do about all this? Those are some examples. What do we do about all this? What do you think? It could get depressing, right? It can get pretty darn depressing. Okay, so what do we have working for us on the other side?
Or could we help give a voice to immigrants, since maybe people don't know about their struggles because they don't have a voice box?
Well, yeah, we can. But we can't until we begin to think about ourselves. We start with you. Okay? You. Now, when I was a kid, I grew up in Chicago. Greatest town in the world. It's got crazy politics and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, you're never bored in Chicago because there's always a fight. Always a desire for a fight and an issue to fight around. So I grew up in Chicago. And in Chicago, I spent 8 years as a leader, battling all kinds of little things that I didn't understand. At that time, it just said, we just want a school. We don't know why. We just want it. We want it here, right? It took me many years to uncover that necessarily wasn't a good idea. You know, that maybe what we should have been doing is arguing about how schools are created and which children can go to what schools. But in Oakland, for example, they have open enrollment. This is wonderful. A poor child can actually go to a very good hill school if he or she can get there. Because there's no buses to get there. There's no yellow buses to get there. And there's no support to get any transportation for kids to get there. But you have open enrollment. You can register and go to that hill school. Figure out how to get there. All right, and in Chicago, it's not unlike that, right? So I grew up thinking that my father was right. That what I had to do is learn to make tortillas. You can connect with this, Maria. Learn to make tortillas. Learn to be a housewife. Because my father knew I would marry and have 11 children, just like he and my mother did.